Never thought a nigga was making no motherfucking rap songs about this. My motherfucking brother. Young hustler.
You know I think about you.
Yeah.
You know I think about you.
Some God I do, nigga.
You know I think about you.
Every day, every night.
You know I think about you. You know I think about you. Every time I sleep, you know I think about you. You know I think about you. Reminiscing on them times we used to eat about you. Talking about these meals, they trying to catch a body. We just staying rich, like my nigga Roddy. You was always on your tail, you was on your mind and body. 40 on your hill, rockin' a Carter's body. Started out with nothing, we ain't had much. Got some on my hammer and make some crowns up. When they hit the block with all the savages. Yeah, you gotta watch your back, cause Johnny's scandalous. The homie scandalous. Hey, and we was going in, these niggas can't handle us. And we gon' run it over, these niggas can't run with us. Y'all niggas ain't hung with us. Y'all niggas ain't tough enough. Y'all niggas ain't scarred enough. Y'all niggas ain't hard enough. Y'all niggas ain't banging bus. Y'all niggas ain't dangerous. Y'all niggas like laser us. Please stay in your lane for us. I ain't playing no games with us. Trust me, this fully a bus. Pop, 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 rupture alarm. You know I think about you. Every time I sleep, you know I think about you. You know I think about you. Reminiscing on them times we used to eat about you. Talking about these meals, they trying to catch a body. We just staying rich, like my nigga Roddy. You was always on your tail, you was on your mind and body. 40 on your hill, rockin' a Carter's body. You got me thinking about the times you used to be calling my phone. And when I hit you back, it ain't nobody home. Early in the morning used to be like top of the top. Your Supreme, what's up? We about to hit up the spot. We about to go get a night. We already got chains, we about to go get a watch. And again like the rock. No limit, Master P and CMB, TMC, all money in, AMB, YG. 400 degrees, I ain't gonna let them breathe. Just like a city under siege. Fuck your mama and your seeds. And anything that's in between, I ain't gonna never let them sleep. How the fuck you kill a king? I hope he hunt you in your sleep. Can't stay talking to Supreme, and I'ma maximize a dream. You know I think about you. Every time I sleep, you know I think about you. You know I think about you. Reminiscing on them times we used to eat about you. Talking about these meals, they trying to catch a body. We just staying rich, like my nigga Roddy. You was always on your tail, you was on your mind and body. 40 on your hill, rockin' a Carter's body.
Lucid Spark is the virtual whiteboard you need to bring your best ideas to light.
Yeah. Watch it. Turn a dollar in a dream to a mansion in a million. We was trapping in the buildings, giving back to the children. They said I wasn't shit, they was laughing at a nigga. Had to run the music up and run the bag up on niggas. Took myself on tour, nigga, who city lit. Now I want Grammys, nigga, used to wanna see a brick. Now I want plaques, me and Black Sam matching Maybachs. Black on black, double up, back to back, nigga. Sold out dates in NY, that's a fact. Casanova in the cut, Dave East in the back, shit was packed. Next stop to Cleveland. Real recognize real, I'm hot every season. Please believe it. They fully tapped in, cause nigga back then them shows wasn't packed and my shit wasn't cracking yet. Niggas didn't wanna hear me rap, and bitches didn't wanna hear my tracks. They'd rather hear some trap. They said my shit was whack. This ain't no look at me now, rap or I told you so. Nigga, I been had the flow, nigga, I know I'm gold. Really diamond, I'm stone. Nip said I'm a blow. Like C4, but you ain't know, so here I go.
Here where I come from, we self-made, come from nothing. Here where I come from, shit don't stop, all or nothing. And that's all I know, hustle is all I know. Here where I come from, We self-made, come from nothing.
Graduated to a frozen wrist. I met Stone with Net, we sold it quick. Couple hoes to hit, bitch that's rolling crip. Running marathons, laughing niggas before they noticed it. Plus who told us, watch who you be smoking with. I took a couple losses, then got over it. Trio to 6-0, we pull up, let a clip go. It don't matter the zip code. Smoking, watching baby boys, recipes to crazy yo. Prices went up, you wanna book me, gotta pay me more. She try and get with the homies, you better follow where your lady go. Homies dying in the streets, you niggas dying to be on the radio. Money up, God above all, nothing above them. We was the boys in the hood, watching colors. Italian bitches love us. I guess we remind them of the mafia. This all of mafia, presidential, feel like Barack and them. Really took my shit hotter, I'm prophesizing what I can. They couldn't walk in my shoes, I wouldn't give a sock to them. Pick and roll on any op, we get Malone and Stockton them. It's going down like Jock and them. Diddy sent some to rock for them. It's authentic, them niggas replicas, they cannot be him. Couple guns on me, shouts to the bouncers, they got me in. Good luck.
Here where I come from, we self-made, come from nothing. Here where I come from, shit don't start, all or nothing. And that's all I know, hustle is all I know. Here where I come from, we self-made, come from nothing. Yeah. Here where I come from, we self-made, come from nothing. Here where I come from, shit don't start, all or nothing. And that's all I know, hustle is all I know. And that's all I know, hustle is all I know. And that's all I know, hustle is all I know. Here where I come from, shit don't stop, all or nothing.
Trey made this beat.
You know, I was on the run. I had a case pending, my crime was in jail. I thought I was about to go do a lot of time. And I hid out. I went to my homeboy Tiny Copy house and hid in the house for 3 months.
Talking about that money, though, we been about it. How a nigga didn't know we strategized. They talking about that homie, know they been lying. Big guns for the ops, you know they been dying. We don't fuck with cops, but they keep trying. Every time I'm out, you know I keep eyeing. I can't never see a nigga trying to take mine. I'm dropping roses on that casket like I'm Jake Line. I don't play none. I remember you was on the run. You called my phone and then I said what's up. You told me you didn't have nowhere to tuck. I got my keys and then I opened up. You had the back room and I had the front. So you my nigga, I'm forever rocking with you. I can't believe it, you know, let these niggas chip you. You on my face, that's how you know I won't forget you. I keep a cake for the fake homies and the ops too. And fuck the crooked ass cops and the judge too. I got on East Saint Laurent, but mixing with the loot. And my queens on my feet, they my tennis shoes. We some wild young niggas, know to break the rules. And we ain't worried about these hoes, you know they pick and choose. Cause when you get up on this money, you know they fucking twos. I mean they fucking threes, gotta get my fucking cheese. Scratchy bitches off my nuts, like some fucking fleas. Most of the time I'm in a cut, where you can't see Supreme. Whole team got BBS, shot it like a beam. Talking about that money, though, we been about it. How a nigga didn't know we strategizing. They talking about that homie, know they been lying. Big guns for the ops, you know they been dying. We don't fuck with cops, but they keep trying. Every time I'm out, you know I keep eyeing. I can't never see a nigga trying to take mine. I'm dropping roses on that casket like I'm Jake Line.
Yeah, like before I got into whatever the industry is or into a label situation, my goal as a hustler was to sell 50,000 units.
Yeah, real. I do this shit for the underdog. Yeah. I do this shit for the niggas out the motherfucking hood, for the niggas that come up out the mud, niggas out the slums, niggas ain't never had shit. You know what I'm saying? I come from, but a nigga ain't gonna never get no motherfucking Rolex watch. Nigga don't even know what the fuck a Protect is. Niggas don't know. Like, we out the trenches.
This ain't rap. I bet I don't remember us. We did it big. They never did it miniature. We on the wall. I'm inside my signature. And we gon' ball. For that paper they wouldn't let us earn. Still sack chase. I'ma get this money, I ain't gon' let him erase. Kill my nigga now. I'ma watch out for his babies. See my niece the other day. She got your whole face. I know they can't relate. Think about you every day. Playing with your son, you got every video ways. And your nephew getting big, and GG too. You know how I'ma do. I'ma keep that Glocky on me. Niggas mad about Pro Tools. This ain't rap. I bet I don't remember us. We did it big. They never did it miniature. We on the wall. I'm inside my signature. And we gon' ball. For that paper they wouldn't let us earn. This ain't rap. I bet I don't remember us. We did it big. They never did it miniature. We on the wall. I'm inside my signature. And we gon' ball. For that paper they wouldn't let us earn. This ain't rap. I bet I don't remember us. We did it big. They never did it miniature. We on the wall. I'm inside my signature. And we gon' ball. For that paper they wouldn't let us earn. They wouldn't let us earn. Gotta take this shit. How we gon' make it burn? We gon' get it all. Oh, it gotta burn. We gon' get it all. Cause they ain't never learned. We the ones that sent it. Watch me Luke Kane kick it. Checking how I'm tripping. I was in the trenches. Why you ain't never in it? Got some trophy on. Long clip. You know it's so extended. You know how we live. Asking God for forgiveness. This ain't rap. I bet I don't remember us. We did it big. They never did it miniature. We on the wall. I'm inside my signature. And we gon' ball. For that paper they wouldn't let us earn.
This is A-Game, an all-natural herbal dietary supplement formulated exclusively for men. Our proprietary blend was designed with one goal in mind: to improve your overall health, rejuvenating your vitality, energy, strength, and libido. Want to be at your peak performance in everything you do? Then bring your A-Game. Fast-acting, long-lasting, with no side effects.
Oh my God.
What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on Stay Sleep TV. Shout out to everybody who support this platform. Much love. I appreciate all the love and the support. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in right now. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. I need y'all to hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Hit the like button. After you hit the like button, hit the share button. Share the show. Share the show. It's very important that you do those first two things. Those are the first two ways you support Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Make sure you like the show. Make sure you share the show. After you do those two things, this is your first time here. This is you listening to the playback. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop some new content right here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Make sure you financially support the show. Make sure you financially support the show. You can do that by going to CashApp $Sheep Stay Sleep TV. As CashApp $Sheep Stay Sleep TV is where you can financially support the show. Make sure you financially support the show. You also can leave your questions, your comments with your super chat. I will post them. All other donation links will be in the chat room. Shout out to everybody who supports Sheep Stay Sleep TV, man. It's very much appreciated. It's very much appreciated, man. What are we talking about this morning? We're going to speak on a topic that is spoken about, but I think that we really don't understand how far we can get going with this validation thing and dealing with business. I come from, well, yeah, I'll start there. I come from the self-made man. I come from a long line of men who knew that they had to make their own lot in life. And when I say this, I'm speaking on the men. My father's father grew up on a farm. My grandfather, before he owned his own farm, before that, he was a sharecropper. This is my great-grandfather, my grandfather's father. And of course, they were in the rural South, Georgia, to be exact. And my dad used to tell me growing up, when he would go down south to visit my grandfather used to take him to other farms, plantations, and he would take my pops and my uncle, rest in peace, to these other men houses, and they would do business. My dad used to tell me how my grandfather would go and do business with these men, and they'll let my uncle and my father go out into their yards and out into their small yards and take whatever they want. My dad said he would come back home with pecans, almonds, walnuts, oranges, apples, plums, sugar apples, just a lot of different things. And it was free. The guys will give my dad and my uncle a bag, and they'll just fill up bags of stuff. And he understood from a young age that my grandfather wasn't the 9 to 5 kind of guy. My grandfather was what we will call today an independent contractor. And while running a farm, him and his wife, he taught my grandfather and my uncle, rest in peace to him. This is my great uncle. This is my father's uncle. He taught them how to slaughter meat. So my grandfather preferably raised hogs. That's what he made his money from. He had cows on their farm and stuff like that, but not too much. They used cows more for milk. My dad said they didn't, growing up, they didn't eat a lot of beef. My grandfather really wasn't into slaughtering the cows too much. But the meat that my grandfather made a fortune off was the hog. Sold a lot of pork. So he taught my grandfather, which is my father's father, and his brother, which is my great uncle, taught them the trade or the skill of butchering, how to butcher meat. And it's just so interesting how my dad had a chance to see the patriarch of his family be a boss. And my grandfather watched his dad grow up and become a boss. My grandfather, he had like a 3rd or 4th grade education. But what my grandfather had was skills. Applicable skills. So when they left Georgia and they moved to New York, he worked in the meat markets. Which is something we rarely see nowadays in our communities. The meat markets are the people who provide the fresh meat. From a child, I understood that the supermarket, their meat is tainted because we don't know who's touching that meat. We can't see it. And a lot of times the meat is put through machines. You see? It's filled with a bunch of dyes and a whole lot of extra stuff that they don't do in the meat market. And for a long time, my grandfather and my uncle, that was their career. They were career butchers. And back in the 60s, because my dad was born in the 60s. So back in them times, 50s, 60s, a black man with a trade could raise his whole family. And that's what my grandfather did until my grandfather got injured. When my grandfather got injured, because of course, when you're an independent contractor, you have other things that you're good at. You have other things that you do. So another thing that my grandfather was good at was gambling, big time gambling. He made money gambling. And while doing that, my grandfather had the opportunity to become a number runner. My grandfather started running numbers. And that business basically lasted until he passed away on Mother's Day, 1995. You know, one of the worst days ever of my life. But yeah, Mother's Day, 1995. And one thing I noticed about those men of that time, is they were validated by the community and the people that they served. Because they were there. They had direct access to the people. And the things that they done directly affected the people that they were around. This is why Black Wall Street had the power and the influence that it did, because it showed the power of being validated by the people. I said this a long time ago. Our biggest weapon is not money. Our biggest weapon is unity. That's our biggest weapon. Whether we want to understand this or not, our biggest weapon is unity. And this is why they do everything and create every way and avenue to keep us not with a unified mind. We have to understand that the people is what create the industry. See, because Black men have a problem with seeking validation from the people versus the industry. A lot of the music that y'all hear me play, a lot of those guys are independent. And we all know that independent just means you back in your own play. You see? And if you listen to the music that I play, you hear those brothers speak on their struggles of them trying to become self-made. This is the struggle that Nipsey Hussle dealt with. See? Nipsey was a people's person because That's how Nipsey was groomed to be. Y'all gotta understand, you know, the part of what we like to say, the neighborhoods, the neighbors. Gotta understand the dynamics of what people deem gang culture, because that's what the industry calls it, even though the industry eats off of it. But what they deem gang culture is nothing but black male camaraderie. And in California, for a long time, there was a war between some factions. And, today we have in the gang world, you got a separation of what people call the Crips. You got your neighborhood gangs, and then you got your gangster sets. You got your neighborhood sets, and you got your gangster sets. And all of this was created from a war. But Nipsey represented the neighborhood. These are your neighborhoods, your neighbors. Pay attention. Don't get caught up, because a lot of y'all get enamored with gang stuff and criminality. Don't get caught up in that. Understand what those guys represented. Nipsey represented the neighborhood. He represented his neighborhood, his people. Do y'all understand? You see? So if you hear guys say, I'm not even going to really get into that, because like I said, I don't really want y'all to get caught up in all of that, but I want y'all to understand that the significance of certain sets is because it represents the people. Community revolution and progress is a people's thing. The neighborhood, the neighbors. And if you take it back to where even that originated from, you could take it back to Chicago, where you got the folk nation versus the people's nation. That's how you get the spinoff of the neighborhoods. See, the folks. They call them folks. These are our folks. That's what they call them in Chicago. California, that's my cousin. You see? You got the people's nation. The people's nation, you know who's under the people's nation? The Bloods. They're under the people's nation. They represent the people. Brotherly love, overriding oppression and destruction. That's the people. And the Crips, or your cousins, is your folks. Get it? We understood a long time ago that the power that lies between us is us. We understood a long time ago from slavery that the establishment or the industry, it's not for us. Now, am I advising brothers to not get in no industries? No, not saying that. It's the mentality of the people that's in the industry that makes the industry what it is. Y'all need to understand this. The people who run these industries are, one, not your people, and two, they don't care about you. They don't care. Because let's read the definition of the word industry. Because we're not going to take things personal. We need to understand what we're dealing with. An industry is, or it says, economic activity concerned with the processing of raw materials and manufactured goods in factories. A particular form or branch of economic or commercial activity. So, with that being said, the people creates the industry. That's what makes the industry what it is. But there's a struggle that a lot of us men have with serving the people versus serving the industry. When I want to let brothers know, when you serving the people, you are the industry. You are. Because what? An industry is a what? A particular form or branch of economic or commercial activity. This is why brothers must understand how powerful their mind is. How powerful your words are. The things that we say here on these airwaves, people are listening. The people who you think are not listening are listening. This is where they're getting their ideas from. I told y'all this last year that mainstream media was going to restructure their whole shit due to COVID, and all of the things that we see today is all Black manosphere talking points. We're still, mainstream media is having Black manosphere conversations. But who are the progenitors of this industry capitalizing off of it? See, because Brothers didn't understand that they've created an industry. See, because they think the industry is the rap game. No, an industry is a particular form or branch of economic or commercial activity. See, this is why they made sure they demonized everything black men built back in the day, because they don't want us to look up to the black men who were actual builders and who actually created a lot of the industries that we deal with today. This is why they screwed up our history, and they teach our children this messed up history about ourselves, because this is how they keep their foothold on the industry. And this is why you got young black boys who think they gotta wear dresses that make money. They gotta do some crazy, out of this world sexual scene that they're not comfortable with to get that movie role. It is because back in those times, a lot of us didn't understand what we were doing. How we know this is true, if you go back to the old interviews of a lot of the progenitors of hip hop, they didn't know that they created an industry until guys like Rick Rubin and Leo Cohen and them came in and showed us black men that we've created an industry. We didn't know when we was in the park in the Bronx rapping and dancing that was an industry. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. Just like a lot of brothers who grew up on farms and plantations as young men, like I explained, my grandfather and my great uncle did, they didn't understand that their fathers were bosses. They were entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My great grandfather. My great grandfather was a boss, and he taught his sons a skill, a trade. Like I said, my grandfather and my uncle were butchers. Today, you can have a career working in supermarkets cutting goddamn meat. You know why? Because places like Boar's Head saw what the black men were doing and said, hey, this is an industry. Why don't I hire the top black men and get them to work for my company and make them build up my company? What you think they did with Famous Amos cookies? The brother didn't know that he created a goddamn cookie franchise. But they always knew and always saw profit, industry in the skills of black people. The way we speak, the way we look, the way we write, the way we smell, the way we spell. They even made an industry out of our messed up, dysfunctional ways. And everything we created, they industrialized it and copied it and taught their children that they created it. So now they got their own forms of Ebonics. Every group got their own form of Ebonics. But who made Ebonics what it is today? Black folks. The way we spoke. They were intrigued about how we communicated with each other. But we're not intrigued. We're intrigued by them saying, hey, what you're doing over there is great. Let me come look at it. You see? We don't see the value in ourselves. This is why we seek validation from people who stole what we built. And now there's a whole bunch of people who are seeking the validation of their slave masters. You're seeking validation from Louis Vuitton. That's why when you wear it, you think you're better than the next brother who got on his own goddamn clothes. His clothes is not flyer than Louis because it's Louis Vuitton. I hope y'all are following me. You see? My fly and my swag is validated because I got on Valentino. So you can't tell me I'm not fly when I got on a V-long shirt. You can't tell me I'm not fly because I have on a Hermes belt and that Hermes belt is $800. Hermes told you you was fly. Valentino validated your fly, not another black man. You ain't get your style from Dapper Dan. You see? And even with Dapper Dan, I salute him. But what Dapper Dan did was Dapper Dan did shit for validation. Why he didn't make his own Dapper Dan brand? All Dapper Dan did was make a bunch of fly pieces from Louis, from Gucci, to prove his to be validated by the fashion industry. So when he creates his own clothes, people will say, oh, that's who did such and such with such and such and with such and such and with such and such. See, he went and got validated by the industry. See, the streets been co-signed Dapper Dan. But imagine if Dapper Dan would have been selling all them big time drug dealers back in the day. Imagine if they was buying his shit. Imagine if they were buying Dapper Dan clothes. Not some shit he designed, but his actual brand. He did that for years, seeking validation, and they finally validated him and hired him. He don't run nothing. He was hired. He was hired. He was hired. And this is not me trying to talk down on any brother. But if you out here job hunting, me and you, we don't really have nothing to talk about. Because I'm going another way in my life. You see, I'm trying to reestablish what my great-grandfather had. When my great-grandfather went and talked to white men, they never disrespected him. You know why? Because they did business. You see, remember I told the story earlier? How my uncle and my father used to go out in them people's yards and pick fruit and nuts. Yeah, those were white men and white women who my great-grandfather did business with. That's why they treated his offspring like something. So if you still trying to be a slave, if you still trying to be validated by the industry and you don't understand what an industry is, but you trying to be in the music industry, but you don't even understand what an industry is, I don't want to be around you. I don't need to talk to you because you have the mindset of a slave. You don't understand your own potential, nor do you understand the history of where you come from. See, I do. See, I do. I do. I come from self-made men. But let me tell you where things changed. As time moved on, and this is why I say you got to upgrade your program, man. Being that my grandfather only had a third, fourth grade education, he wasn't able to upgrade his game. But you know what he did? He taught his sons to go get an education. Don't be a fool. No more than your father. That's what he taught my dad. Go to school, son. Work smarter, not harder. See, he didn't teach my father to be self-made. And that was because as time went on, like I said, my grandfather got injured at his job, couldn't work no more. So his life changed, his mentality changed. Like I said, he started running numbers. He was gambling. Still made enough money to take care of the whole family. My grandmother never worked a day in her life. My father's mother never worked a day in her goddamn life. Matter of fact, she worked one day. She went to go be a maid for some Jewish people back in the day. My dad told me this. He was a little boy. My dad told me this. And when my grandmother came home, my grandfather looked at her face and said, "What's wrong? How was your day?" And she expressed how she didn't like it. My grandfather said, "Take your clothes off. You ain't never got to go back there again." And she never went back to work. She never went back to work again. See. But when my grandfather, when times went on, shit got more expensive. So he taught my dad to go to school, get an education, go as far as you can with education. Because with you knowing more, you can keep your game going. which was a good thing. But school doesn't teach you to be an independent thinker. This educational system don't teach you how to run a business. See? My father knew certain things because he watched his father and his grandfather be a boss. See? But school didn't teach him that. School teaches you to go and get validation from the industry, to go get validation from the black feminists who runs the black studies programs at these HBCUs. Let's talk about that. You wonder why you're seeing all these hip hop artists professing to be in love all of a sudden, and they straightening up they act and all. That's because the feministic presence in hip hop is at full force right now. And they're using Cardi B and girls like Mulatto and girls like Megan to push this feminist shit. To push these young girls into that shit. While dudes, if you looking at these dudes, all these niggas look like puppy dogs. Even the dudes who were used to be called womanizers. Look at Fabulous, straightened up, smiling in every picture. And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing, because if the brother straightened up to straighten up, that's cool, because he don't want to lose his woman. That's cool if that's what you choose to do. But for me on the outside looking in, I don't see that. I see a lot of dudes getting in line because they don't want to be dragged down to the courthouse. So dudes is making up as much as they can. See, because now the feminist dragon has reared its ugly head in hip hop. It's always was there. The presence of it was there, but now it's heightened. It's heightened. Hip hop is no longer a masculine dominated thing. It's not. Pseudo masculinity. And that's because it has this feminist presence. Go and check out the stream that I did, Feminism in Hip Hop, where I brought y'all the woman's name, the black feminist, the black woman's name, who's connected to the big time feminists in the industry, like Beyonce, like Queen Latifah. I read the names off. Rihanna. Alicia Keys. These are feminists. Jada Pinkett. I just named y'all women who've already done their men dirty in the goddamn mainstream media. Y'all don't see what's going on here? See, Jay went and married him a feminist woman because his mama a feminist. Bet you y'all didn't know that about Jay-Z. Jay-Z mama's a feminist. And she's also part of the LGBTQ community. Yeah, because that's how Jay-Z mama swings. She swing that way. That's why he had no problem with all those feminist hits that his wife was putting out. He probably was co-writing. And let's talk about the men. Most of your feminist songs that Beyonce had was written by Neo. Written by The Dream. By men. So that should tell you what we dealing with here. And this is why you hear in a lot of the music that I play before my streams, you hear the brothers speaking on their struggle, trying to deal with the industry, trying to get in the industry. Like one of the songs I played, which is one of Nipsey Hussle homies, he had Nipsey in the song. He said all he wanted to do was sell 50,000 units out the trunk in his neighborhood. You know where he got that from? Another black man who was validated by the people. His name is Master P, Percy Miller. Who you think laid that blueprint down to these rappers? Master P, Percy Miller. Percy Miller. But you got people running around talking about Master P is broke. That's because these are guys who follow the industry. So they listen to TMZ reports. When we already know that a lot of that shit is orchestrated and made up. It's not real. TMZ is part of the entertainment industry. Love and hip hop is a part of that industry. You see? See, being validated by the people represents something that Black people have been doing for years. With our movements, it's called grassroots. It's called a grassroots movement because it comes from the people on the ground level who starts from the beginning. This is how we've always survived and built. We built civilizations off of the validation of ourselves. We didn't make pyramids so everybody else could fucking live in them. We made them for ourselves. We didn't make huts for the world to go and look at them. We made them so we can live in them. And if you go back and you look in history where Black people were seeking the validation of themselves and from their own people and built from that perspective, we were the most successful. Especially Black men. Black men are still successful, but we scattered out. And we don't do business with each other, and we don't speak to one another. We don't even know what each other do. We don't even know what each other specialize in. And shit, most of y'all that's already making money don't even care about the next Black man and what he got going on business-wise. See, that didn't happen in the times of Black Wall Street. That's why they had to make sure they tore it down, because when they tore Black Wall Street down, they tore down an ideology. They tore down the ideology of being self-made and self-paid. And they're going to tear down anything that speaks to Black male agency and Black male independence. Because once a Black man is free, at mind, at heart, and financially, he can properly free his family. This is why they want you to seek validation from the industry. Because once they get you up in there and they lock you in with these contracts, you become a slave. Because see, their number one industry is slavery. You see? And the black man is in the business of freedom. Don't you get it now? So when you sign your life away to these record execs up at Atlantic, understand that you have now contractually agreed to your slavery, because that is what the Caucasian male, that is his number one business. Slavery. See? This is why you have what they call a slave contract in the music business. Because that's what they specialize in. Enslaving black men. See? That's why the independent guys who are making the most noise, the labels hurry up nowadays and snatch them up and give them some money. They hurry up and give them some money. Because they don't want your compassion, your passion rather, and your raw talent to affect the people of your community. This is why these young boys, these young men rather, who run their cities on the music tip, why you think a lot of them are in jail or they making sure they die? Why you think Kodak Black can't stay out of jail? Who you think the youth in Florida was influenced by? Kodak Black. Kodak Black is validated by the people. So the industry don't want him, because the industry told him, you have to denounce your people. Just like in order for the black manosphere to make it through mainstream media and get to a certain destination where they're going to get some money, they're going to have to denounce black male agency. Or no, how about this? Y'all don't have to denounce black male agency. We'll just dress it up in something else. And y'all can still call it black male agency. Y'all can still call it the black manosphere, even though we have hyenas at the gate. You got hyena gatekeepers that guard the gate to the black manosphere now, which I already told you this was going to happen. So I'm not really going to get into that. But this is me making a point of what happens when you want to go mainstream, when you want to get into the entertainment industry. You have to denounce your people. So you got to denounce being red pill. You got to denounce being masculine. See, now you can only be masculine when they tell you to be. See, now you're only seen as masculine when you put that suit and that bow tie on. Now, that's the only time you're seen as a man. When we tell you you're a man. See? This is what happens when you seek validation from the industry. When you forget, when black men forgot, we created the industry. We just didn't capitalize off what we created business-wise. Everything that you see on Fox Soul right now, the whole conversation, everything Derek Jackson is talking about, all of this hoopla, all comes from here, the Black manosphere. But who's at the forefront in mainstream media? Who's the representation of the people that's in the industry? It's a guy who never was validated by the people. And we're not talking about you Johnny come latelys. We're talking about the grassroots people. We didn't elect him. When was the polls held? When was this election campaign? For this guy to be representing Black men that come from this space. This is why now all of the talking points of the Black manosphere is being circumvented. Now you got guys saying, well, you know, things are changing. Well, you know, it never was really like that. Now you got guys going full steam ahead, seeking the validation of women to validate their platforms. Why is that? Because the women represents the industry. See? So now, if you really want to be a part of this thing of ours, the women got to accept you. The hyenas. The hyenas. So if the hyenas don't let you, see, you're not going to get through if you're a lion. You're not going to make it if you're a lion. Don't even walk up to the gate. Because the hyenas smell you from miles away. See? That's why the hyenas don't like when I call them out. But I'm a lion. How don't I know the ways of a hyena? How don't I? Hmm? See? These hyenas that y'all run around chasing, they've already been validated by the industry. That's why they're gynocrats. The gynocracy the gynocracy the gynocratic oath is what's behind this entertainment industry that y'all in. That's why dudes wear dresses. They put wigs on. They do all of that stuff. Y'all following me? They got black men looking subservient to black women and to white women and to Asian women. It's all part. It's all in the industry. The gynocracy makes money. You see? Which speaks to an industry. And you know what industry that is? Slavery. which is the #1 industry of this goddamn world. Some of everybody, some of all of the royalty across this world made money off of slavery. Who you think sold us into slavery? It wasn't White Mike. It was Adudu and Abubu and them. It was them. It was them. Slavery is a business, the biggest business. What do you think jail represents? What do you think school represents when you walk in the school building? That's why they paint a lot of your schools the same colors they paint the jail walls. But a lot of y'all don't pay attention. Them same brick, them yellow brick walls, them white brick walls, them brown walls that's painted with that lead paint that your children walk through them school halls. It look the same when he walking through them jails. It look the same when he walking through central bookings. It look the same. This is why it's important, fellas, we show our sons and other men that we deal with, man, how to be self-made. Our validation is through the people. We create the industry. We control cool. Shout out to Wallow 267. We control cool. We created cool. We created what a boss is. That same white man you idolizing, he got that look from us. We didn't get it from him. He got that from us. Go check the history. Phil More Slim. Phil More Slim, he 85 years old. He was pimping when it was goddamn horse and carriages outside. A black man, 85 years old. Right now, he's still alive. Don't tell me we can't make it off the people. Look at Phil More Slim. He 85 years old. He 85. But you know what we let society do? We let society condition our minds to hate black men like that. When these are your black gods. These are your black gods. They still walking around. Guys like Phil More Slim, who found a way to make it when black men couldn't eat, when black men couldn't read. And you got dudes online disrespecting the game. Go do your research. Go do your research. Phil More Slim. Look him up. Tell me nothing about nothing. I know what black success look like. My grandfather was one of those men. Both of them. Because I ain't even get to my mama and father. But you know what they taught us? They taught us to hate the hood heroes. And that's what I'm going to be talking about later. The villainization of black men. and how the villains are the real heroes. Because those same men that they taught you to demonize are the men who's taking care of the hood, and they still doing it to this day. They teach you to hate pimps, right? They teach you to hate guys like Fillmore Slim. They teach you to hate guys like Minister Seymour. And guys like Kenny Red. These are black guards who have countless women who will tell you that they're the women they are today because of these men. These women run businesses. But you know what? You know what you let the industry tell you? These are bad men. These men ain't nothing. But who you think dressed the whole goddamn music industry? The players. Who taught you to use a cane with your goddamn suit? The players. One for them, you won't have a Snoop Dogg. Remember that. Sipping on gin and juice. Where you think Snoop get his whole style from? He was raised by the bishop. He was raised by that man. This is why they demonized those black men, because they was validated by the people. They was validated by the streets. And if you don't know something, the streets is what run the goddamn corporate world. Unless you didn't know. You wouldn't know that if you never wasn't in the streets. Everybody comes to the streets to eat. Let me repeat that. Everyone comes to the streets to eat. Everyone. That's why the black man is God. Because that's who you go see in them streets. When them politicians need them some TLC. Who they go see? A black God. That's who they go see. When they need some tender loving and caring. When they need somebody just to talk to. When they need to get their habits treated. They demonized us for selling cocaine, but then they selling Percocets to your kids. And telling and forcing the rappers to rap about using it to get your kids hooked on it. But they made you hate your father and your uncles for selling coke. But now you pop perks. And that's cool because it's validated by the industry. Pop a perk and I'm flexing. Pop a perk and I'm sweating. Pop a perk. I pop a perk. I pop a perk. I pop a perk. I pop a perk. Oh, but your father who in jail for 30 years who was selling bricks of coke to take care of you and your mama, you hate him. He a criminal. But you gotta go get your perk. Pop a perk and I'm sweating. Woo! Pop me a perk. Pop me a perk. I gotta pop me a perk. That's because that's what the industry told you. But guess what Guess what the black guards told you? Stay away from drugs. Stay away from drugs. If you're going to do something, smoke a little weed. Don't smoke no cigarettes. Don't do no heroin. Don't do no crack. Don't do none of that. And you don't have your women on it. And you don't have your women on it. But you know what the industry told our women? Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Papa Molly, I'm sweating. Put a Molly in a drink, she ain't even know it. See, the guards of the game, they don't accept that. Because they don't follow the industry. Because see, that's what the industry tell you to poison your woman. Just like the industry is telling you Negroes around here to pump and dump. Because that's what the industry telling you. The industry telling you to do that. Shout out to Sirism. Appreciate you, play. He says, salute DS1. Keep spitting that fire, Jack. You already know. You already know. I'm on the mission. It's a marathon. Church on the move. See? See? The people, if we stay with our people and build with our people, they'd have told that little girl, don't get your body done. They dissecting you like a goddamn frog. You ever dissected a frog in school, young lady? That's what they doing to your body. So you can have that body yaddy 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 body yaddy 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 yaddy. They splitting you open, young lady. But don't listen to the men who represent the people. Don't listen to Nipsey Hussle. Don't listen to what he has to talk about and how he taught black men to go the independent route. We're not going to talk about that part of Nipsey. We're going to talk about how he dated Laura London. All of this goddamn relationship talk. When we been was talking about this over here, it's old news. Oh, but now that the black manosphere done went mainstream, they're telling y'all what to talk about. Remember, I told y'all the algorithm picked y'all leader. So the algorithm dictates what y'all talk about. That's why you're talking about who cheat the most, who has sex the most, who doesn't want to have sex anymore. Low-level, counterproductive conversations. Players don't have them conversations. Because see, my mother's father, who was part of the Nation of Guards and Earths, he was a player. He properly implemented his program. He was a player. He was a player. Stayed with money. But guess how he died? He died a chef. He died a chef. He the one who brought the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to my family. And told the men and the women who the black man was. A black man did that. See, my grandmother know that the black man is God because she worshiped one. That's why. Because she worshiped the black God. That's why. But you know what they tell us? Oh, your grandfather was a criminal. Oh, your grandfather was a deadbeat. But if you notice, them old women and them old uncles and aunts, they don't tell them little white boys that your father was a clan leader. They don't tell their children that. They don't tell their children that. They worship them men. They glorify them. Because that's what you're supposed to do. Because we are the ones who build civilizations. Men. The men. That's why I know no matter how raggedy a white woman's grandfather, father, or whoever, you'll never see her shame him in front of your ass. She'll never talk about how hateful and racist he was. But a black woman will throw a black man under the bus in a minute. Man, he can't get a job. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Because that's what the industry taught black women to do. When my grandfather started going to prison, and my grandmama had to go seek assistance, that's when they start programming your family with their game. Why do you think the fucking chessboard is black and white? Hmm? Hmm? There's always been a war between the black man and the white man. That's why they black and white, Negro. See? And the king created a kingdom to protect the throne. And who sits on that throne? You see why you see why you are an integral part of this, black woman? You see why the masculine mercenaries and the madam mercenaries critique black women so much? See, because you don't understand the game. This man built this kingdom and everything around us to protect what he built. But guess who laying up in there? You, black woman. So shouldn't you know the affairs of what's going on? So you don't make no stupid moves and get us all killed and we lose the game. That's why you gotta be in pocket. That's why you gotta follow instructions. That's why. Because this is a war. And they'll use you to destroy me. That's why it's called women being called the help. Because they'll use you to help destroy me. See? But see, our women will begin to understand this, and the men will begin to understand this. If you just seek validation from your people, that's what everybody else do. The Chinese, you think the Chinese will stop opening Chinese restaurants if niggas ain't eat them? Let me repeat that. Do y'all really think Chinese restaurants will cease to exist if niggas didn't eat from them? No, they won't. Because the Chinese restaurant is for Chinese people. That's why it says Chinese food. It is for Chinese people. Japanese food. They didn't open up the goddamn Chinese restaurant so you could come in all day and buy chicken wings. No. They opened it for their people. That's why it's called Chinese food. Okay? Let's deal with practical stuff, man. So even if you stop eating out the Chinese restaurants are not going to close. Chinatown ain't going to shut down if you don't go buy your white tees from Chinatown. Because Chinatown is for Chinese people. Foolio. It's not for black people. If it was, it would have said, this is everybody town and not Chinatown. Because they're not seeking validation from the industry. They're being validated by their people. Because they understand people create the industry. Economic or commercial activity. But it seems like it's 2021 and it's hard for us to grasp this point. We want to be validated by our people because we created all what we dealing with. So if we get together with like-minded people and we all have something to offer each other, this is how we build. We don't need validation from the industry. We are the industry. A goddamn crackhead created reality TV. A black man who smoked crack created reality television. A black man who smokes crack. His name is Flavor Flav. And you gonna tell me the black man ain't God? We run around here following women, black men, here on YouTube, when women is waiting for us to lead them? Flav was smoking crack on the show. They let Flav smoke crack on the show. See, y'all may not think he wasn't smoking crack because a lot of y'all are lost. See, Flav wasn't smoking crack out the pipe. He was smoking crack out the blunts because he smoked woolies. Crack and weed. You heard what Raekwon said? Cracks and weed. The combination made my eyes bleed. Where you think he got that from? Where you think Wu-Tang and them got smoking dust from? The OGs. They was high off that shit. Flav is an old school dude. But that crackhead that y'all like to make fun of, create what you look at every goddamn Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on VH1. You ungrateful people. I want to say another word, but I'm keeping it clean. You ungrateful people. Y'all some ungrateful people, man. And black men, it's time for us to accept who we are in its entirety, good, bad, and ugly. And let's keep this thing going, and let's keep building. And let's keep proving to the world who we are. See, because we're going to always rise to the top, no matter what. No matter what you say about us. Everything you goddamn use is from us. That same black man you shit on come from us. Come from us. All the desires that people seek to get. Black men, we already had it. Black men had Rolls Royces back in them days too. Don't think they didn't. Don't think we all was goddamn slaves and poor and didn't have nothing. I just told y'all my great-grandfather ran his own goddamn business, and he did business with white men. Just like my grandmama did, because my grandmama took care of the garden. She took care of the vegetation and the fruits. While my grandfather and my great-grandfather and my great-uncle took care of the meat, the hogs, the cows. My grandmother took care of the chickens. She dealt with all the dairy, all the grains. My grandmother baked bread. This was an industry. This was an industry. You know what it's called now? Organic. That's what it's called now. It's called organic. Stone ground. My grandmama was doing that shit. What we talking about? Huh? You want to know how to go build a garden? Ask your grandmama. Go back to your roots. You want to become natural and organic? What you think they was feeding them hogs in Georgia? My grandmama fed them hogs fruits. And I'm not saying this for people to eat pork, but this is the level of pork that the white folks ate. They ate the good parts of the hog. And see, a hog or any animal that you consume its cleanliness is based on their diet, the diet of the animal. See? That's why them white men patronize my grandfather's business, because my grandfather has some of the best pork. He has some of the best hogs, because what he fed them. Hog pens was clean. Them hogs ate watermelon rinds and lemon peels and orange peels and egg shells. Them hogs ain't eat other animals. We call that organic today. Who made that industry? Huh? Them poor black families that came out of slavery. Now today, we have a whole organic industry. And the shit is not organic. Because they have a company that works directly with them called Monsanto that spray all that shit. If you really want to eat organic, all you got to do is go back down south to your roots and go tell one of your great-grand people who's still alive to go get you a goddamn chicken out the coop and cut his head off and pluck his feathers and cook them. That's organic. Not a sticker that they put on a pack of goddamn meat in Walmart or in Publix or in Whole Foods for you bougie niggas who think because you pay $30 for a steak, you're eating healthy. You're a goddamn fool. You're a goddamn fool. Because if you don't know what them hogs ate, because you wasn't there. See, they could tell you that the chickens are vegetarianly fed. But see, I was taught other things. Because like I said, my grandfather was a butcher. And isn't that ironic how my grandfather was a butcher, his profession was a butcher, and my other grandfather's profession was a chef. How ironic is that? How ironic is that? Hmm? But what you do today, you follow the industry. Oh, I'm gonna go get me some organic eggs. Says who? Who said they organic? Who said they organic? The pack? What, them little slick little tricks that they taught you? I know about real organic food because my family grow food. Right now, my mama's oldest sister owns her own grocery store. We not doing no capping over here. We was taught do for self. My aunt owns her own grocery store. She go get her produce and all of that from a black farm that is ran by the Nation of Islam. That's where she go get her eggs from. She been buying brown eggs since I was a little boy. Not out the goddamn supermarket. From one of Muhammad's farms. That's where she get her fish from. One of Muhammad's farms. We ain't just talking. This shit is in me. It ain't on me. My family be right in this chat room. Got his own soap business. Got his own spiritual little store. He sells stones, gems, soap, all types of stuff. This is my cousin. I grew up with him. See, moral of the story, got to get back to our people, man. Got to get back to ourselves. Let's get back to the people. Let's get back to the people because the people is what make the industry. See? people validate you, not the industry. People. The people that's right around you, the people that you serve, based on your services and products. And speaking of products, this episode of Sheep Stay Sleep TV was sponsored by A-Game, a male herbal solution. A solution to help brothers heal. Make sure, fellas, make sure you hit the link in the description box. Get you some A-Game. Click the link, type in Sheep10 as your promo code. Save yourself 10% off on your order. Let's get on our A-game, fellas. Let's get back to being champions and championing each other. And you know the way we do that? You know how you champion me? CashApp $SheepStaySleepTV. CashApp $SheepStaySleepTV. Socketry. See? You got to be a blessing to get a blessing. This is DS1 Ross of Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, y'all, we got to heal before we build. We got to heal before we build. And we got a product of healing. Fellas, hit the link in the description box and let's get on our A-game. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
What's the nature of your emergency?